Hi everyone, I'm Monique from Guinea Piggles. I'm at Palace Piggy Rescue today and I'm going to tell you all about the work that rescue centres do for guinea pigs.
Palace Piggies is a rescue centre in East Yorkshire run by Lynn and Liz, who are very experienced, and we're talking with them today about what they do for guinea pigs. What does a rescue centre do?
A rescue centre takes in guinea pigs that, for whatever reason, may need to come to rescue. They're not all bad reasons. A lot of the reasons are very legitimate. We don't judge people. Life changes. You sometimes have to make the right decision, and often the right decision is to give the animals up.
Why are rescue centres important?
Where would these animals go if they weren't rescue centres? And that's the biggest question, isn't it? What would happen to all these animals? I think we've rescued over the last 10 years over 1,000, 2,000.
Oh, well over 1,000, yeah.
Guinea pigs.
Oh.
So where would they end up? It would be dire without rescue centres.
There's already people who let them loose,
Yes.
who put them in a box in the woods, in a park.
And of
Yeah.
course they won't survive.
No.
No.
So that would be much more prevalent.
How do you prepare guinea pigs for adoption?
Basically just make sure they're absolutely healthy and that they're not in any way unwell. We don't like rehoming anything that's not well, because we know ultimately that's going to need treatment, and you've got to be so sure people can do that. Preparing them really like you would anything. Cut their nails and give them medication to prevent fleas and worms, lice and mites and worms. 48 hours at least later than that, we would give them a bath and make sure there's nothing wrong with the skin.
How many piggies do you have at the moment?
I'm going to say between 30 and 40 probably. We don't count. It's like we don't add up how much it costs with vegetables and all the food. There's some things we don't need to know.
It's quite scary. It seems that the pet shops only had baby boys available at the beginning of lockdown.
Yeah.
Because almost all the boys that we've had to take in have been between a year and 18 months old, so they're all lockdown piggies. It doesn't matter what the owners tell you the reason for it is. But again, if the reason is allergies, why don't you go to a rescue centre and find out first? Go to a rescue centre, cuddle guinea pigs, touch the hay, be in the environment where you've got hay and dust, and see if you're affected by it.
We've had in recently, I think, 7 pairs of boys, which is hard because we don't actually have that many boy hutches, so we've had to...
We also have lots of people have contacted us that we can't take them in. We do say to people, we'll put you on a waiting list, but the waiting list depends on whether you rehome anybody, because you need to empty a hutch in order for that waiting list to be approached and somebody comes in. So, if people aren't adopting from rescue centres, the situation can only get worse, where there's going to be so many guinea pigs out there that are no longer wanted for whatever reason, and yet the rescue centres just can't take any more in.
What's the ratio of boys to girls?
Well, we have 6 pairs of boys currently in rescue, and that is our maximum space.
So that's all you could actually
That's all we
take
can
anyway.
take. Yeah, we cannot take more. But we have to be very careful. When you take pairs of boys in, it's no good putting them beside girls or near to girls. So we have to have a row which is all boys. And they all have solid dividers to prevent the boys that we get in from fighting, because they'll sometimes fight just because they smell other boys beside them. So it has to be very carefully done. It cannot be just lob them into another hutch to take them off people's hands. It's got to be done properly. So we have a row of boys, and because we ran out of boy room in the actual rescue spaces, we've had to use our boarding spaces, and we're at a point where we cannot take more because we need the hutches for boarding.
Why is it so much harder to rehome boys?
I think people think that boys are harder work and probably aggressive. A pair of well-bonded boys are fabulous, absolutely the best. The downside of boys is they do have willies, and willies do need to be cleaned, and they do have what's called a PA sac, and certainly as they get older they may get what's called impaction, which is where the poo packs up into the PA sack, and that has to be dealt with. That has to be cleaned and emptied. But from a point of view of personality, the boys are wonderful. They're usually more cuddly.
Yeah.
They're usually much easier to sort of deal with, not so hard to catch. But I think people are put off about boys because of the stories, I suppose, about them fighting or smelling.
And you can only have 2.
You can only have 2.
How do you fund the rescue centre?
Boarding helps. We do have donations. We have some very, very generous people that donate much more than we expect, and that does really, really help, doesn't it, for us to...
That's massive for us. That's what,
It is, and that helps us to go and get the bedding or the hay. You're sort of in advance so that we don't get stuck. But if we haven't got enough money from boarding and donations, then we use our own money.
Why is it so important to adopt, not shop?
If you buy from a pet shop, you are going to increase the pressure on rescues because, well, if they're no longer required for whatever reason, they'll end up in the rescue centre anyway. Pet shops are not bothered. I don't care what they say and what they advertise. They do not put the animals first, they put profit first. Rescue centres don't make profit, they just put animals first.
They just perpetuate the problem, really, don't they?
They do. And the breeding system for guinea pigs, when you look at how many we've got here, and you think about the other 100 rescues that we could name over the country, and multiply that, it's such a lot of guinea pigs, and the pet shops are making the money, and the guinea pigs are suffering.
Costing the rescues the money.
Yes, it's costing the rescues. I mean, it would be ideal if there wasn't a rescue centre needed. The only way that's going to happen is if pet shops don't breed.
Pet shops also don't offer a backup service.
No, that's very true.
If you get a piggy from a rescue, you've got backup for life, or the life of the piggy.
Yeah.
With a pet shop, you walk out the door and you've got no support.
What's the advice like from pet shops?
I think their advice, generally speaking, it depends on who the person is that's talking to you.
Yeah.
Because some of them are very, very interested in the guinea pigs and very concerned for their welfare as staff, and others are it's just another job. And you can also, they do ask the right questions. You can lie. They say, is your cage big enough? And they say, oh yeah, it's at least 6 foot. They can say that to us, and then we go and check. And if it isn't, we take them back or don't let them have them at all. But pet shops can't do that. They wouldn't sell anything if they did that.
No.
What is your adoption process?
First and foremost is to contact us through our website and give us some information about what the people would like, as in boys, girls, but also to tell us the size of their accommodation. Our website is really good at asking people to look at all of it to decide whether they want to proceed with us. We have minimum cage sizes, and just to fill in a form really, and then we can take it from that point where we can talk to people, try and match guinea pigs with people. Some people are very experienced and could handle the piggies that need extra grooming, for example. We don't like to let young children have our babies. If the babies are born, we're not happy with children having them. They're too fragile. They can be very frightening for children when they leap out of your lap or something.
Just too fast. They're too fast for children.
And children are much better growing up with steady, more mature, bigger guinea pigs.
If you don't meet our requirements, you don't get a guinea pig from us.
No.
We may seem hard, but somebody has to be a voice for these little guys.
What would you say to anyone who wants to adopt?
Research. You've got to know it's the right thing for you as a family. It's commitment. You've got to, let's say it's an 8-year commitment, because some guinea pigs are living longer these days, so you've got to be prepared to commit for that length of time. So check out your local rescue's requirements, because they will vary a little, and make sure you can afford to get them and keep them. And you could always end up with a vet bill.
I mean, some people do insure their guinea pigs, but I'm not entirely sure that that's worth it. I think it might be better to put £5 a week away in case they needed it.
How should you choose a rescue centre?
There's a lot of rescues that are sprung up during lockdown. be very, very careful if you're going to a rescue to choose which rescue you go to. Now, we're part of a group called the Piggy Bank. It's on Facebook, and to be a member of the Piggy Bank rescue, you have to reach certain criteria. So my advice would be to search out the Piggy Bank to find a rescue in your area, a reputable one, because believe me, they are not all reputable.